Good morning, everyone. This is Amanda with Life Ministries. It's Monday again. Um, Mondays are very crazy, and this morning has been a Monday for me. But I'm not going to worry about that because God's still good and God still has a plan for me. He has a plan for you, and I am not going to let the devil defeat me today. We're going to do our Marriage Monday again, and guess what? This is Valentine's week, so I know some of you may be very excited about that. Maybe you and your special someone have something very special planned. Valentine's Day, to some, is an over commercialized industry, and they don't want any part of it, and that's fine too. If that's how you feel, go for it. Because you know what? We really don't need a special day to tell our special someone that they're special. We should be telling them they're special every day. One thing I want to mention today is, you can't really discuss marriage and being a good wife without reading Proverbs 31. If you'll start in verse 10 there, it talks about being the kind of woman that we should be, the kind of woman that God would have us to be. The kind of woman that adds value to her home, to her husband, to her marriage. If you want a good husband, be a good wife. Because it's hard to be good at your job when they're not good at theirs. And so it's hard for our husbands to be good husbands when we're not being a good wife either. Also, too, the Proverbs 31 woman, she adds value to her husband. She adds value to her home. And if you'll read that today, you'll see what I'm talking about. So many times we unknowingly and unmeaningly devalue our spouse. We don't set out to do that. We love our spouse and we want what's best for them and our family. But so many times we say and do things to devalue our spouse. And that creates a rift in our marriage and in our home that we don't even sometimes, we're not aware of until it becomes so big that it explodes, so to speak. And one way that I feel like that we devalue our spouse, so many times we find ourselves caught up in what Hollywood says is a good marriage, or maybe what some show we're watching. We get caught up in that male character in that show. I like romantic movies, romantic comedies, and so many times, you find yourself watching these shows and you see this man and he's just so perfect and he does everything that the lady wants him to do. He says all the right words and he does all the right things, and then you find yourself thinking, man, I wish my husband would talk to me like that. I wish my husband would do that for me. Why doesn't my spouse love me like this man loves her? In reality, he does not exist. That man does not exist. These shows are of people who are sitting around sipping on sweet tea all day, planning their wedding or planning a vacation or their own vacation. It's not real. It's not real life. It's not real life when there's struggles and there's bills to pay and there's jobs to be gotten to and he has to work over, and the chicken's it's still frozen and you didn't get supper on in time and you had to order a pizza. That's real life. Real life is full of struggles and situations that pop up that you didn't plan for. Real life is getting up at 2 a.m. and trying to feed a baby and trying to get back in bed without making the baby cry still, and everybody's up all night and everybody's just a tad cranky. That's real life. That's reality, and there's no script. There's no script for our lives. We just have to take it one day at a time, and we have to just trust in the Lord. And if we study His Word, that is our script, really and truly. God's Word is our script. We do have a script. And if we could just focus on God's Word and seek His Word for the wisdom, we would be able to answer one another a lot better. We would be able to value each other a lot better if we would spend some time with God and in His Word and seek Him for our relationships. Seek Him for any struggle that we may be facing in our relationships. But today I encourage you to not devalue your spouse. Don't tell him, I wish you would do that. I wish you would do this. Think about what he does. Everybody's different. Every husband shows love differently. My husband may tell me he loves me and yours may not. He may do things that shows you that he loves you. My husband may tell me he loves me and show me he loves me, and yours may just show you he loves you. He may not ever say those words, but that may be who he is. He may feel like it's a waste of time to speak words when he can show you with action. You know, we're all different and we all show love different. Some men, their idea of showing love is to make sure that you've got gas in your car and the oil's changed, to make sure you've got a roof over your head. That may be what they've been taught, and that may be how they feel that they're loving you. And the best way to make sure that everybody's okay and everything's cool is communicate. Communication is key. It truly is. If we would communicate with our spouse, it would amaze you at how much it would open doors in your relationship. So many times there's been things in my life that I've wanted my husband to understand about me, and so many times I've just been upset with him, and I've laid in the bed and been like rolling away from him and just absorbed into myself, because I'm just like, he ought to know that I want this, or he ought to know that I'm feeling like this. Why should he know? He can't read my mind. Yes, he loves me and he does the best he can, but he is a man. He's different from me. God made him different, and I'm thankful God did, because he thinks about things that I would never think about, and he takes care of things that I would never think about taking care of, just as I take care of things that he doesn't think about. Because we're made different, we complement one another. That's what God intended for marriage, is that we complement each other. He takes care of the parts that I don't, and I take care of the parts that he doesn't. I am his helpmate. That's what God designed us to do, is to help one another. Are you helping your mate today, or are you devaluing them because of who they are, because of something simple that maybe if you would communicate? But so many times I would whine about things, and I've learned over these last 18 years of marriage that if I would talk to my husband and explain my feelings to him, he is so much better at loving me and so much better at helping me through those situations. And then a lot of times, you know, the Lord's tapped on me and said, hey, you're being a little petty here. You're being a little bit childish here. And you know, my favorite thing that God says is, what are you doing for him that equals what you're wanting him to do for you? And so many times God does that to me. And so many times when I've been upset with my spouse about something, most of the time I was wrong. Most of the time it was me. So today, stop swooning over Patrick Dempsey, I think that's his name, and all those other stars that are out there, you know, Tatum Channing and whatever his name is. I always get it backward. Is it Channing Tatum? I don't know. Anyway, you figure it out. They're very nice looking men, yes. They've got some awesome storylines. And what's the other guy in The Notebook? Yeah, he's a little cutie. But he's got some awesome lines and some stories. And there's another movie that I like really good that this man, I can't think of his name, but he just says the right things every time. Stop holding your husband accountable for that. Stop trying to make him something he's not. Love him for who he is, and love him for who you fell in love with ever how many years ago you met. Love him, value him, and he will love you better. Well, that's all I got today. Read Proverbs 31. It's got some wisdom in it. God's word is full of wisdom. You can't go wrong. Read any of it. It's great. But just love each other today. Love your spouse and pray for your spouse. And remember that God put you together for a purpose. Seek him. Seek his purpose for your life, and you can't go wrong. Thank y'all. Have a blessed day and a blessed week, and don't let the Monday blues find you.